Hi, I'm Cecil Castellucci. I'm the author of The Plain Janes, and you are listening to the True North Country Comics podcast.
Welcome to the True North Country Comics podcast, dedicated to promote Canadian comic book and graphic novel creators and supporters. I'm John Swinimer. On this episode, I chat with Cecil Castellucci about writing, comic books, and plans for Toronto Comicon 2024. Please like and subscribe to this website by hitting the subscribe button to be notified about new podcast interviews and article posts. This podcast is available wherever podcasts are enjoyed. Please like, follow, and subscribe. Now based in Montreal, Cecil Castellucci is the award-winning and New York Times bestselling author of books and graphic novels for young adults, including Shade the Changing Girl, Boy Proof, The Plain Janes, Soupy Leaves Home, The Year of the Beasts, Tin Star, Female Furies, and Odd Duck. Cecil has also written Batgirl for DC Comics, with short stories and short comics published in Strange Horizons, Tor.com, and many other anthologies, plus Shifting Earth, the graphic novel published by Berger Books. Cecil's current effort is I Am the Comic Book. Cecil also wrote a story for EC Comics Cruel Universe number 4 from Oni Press. EC Comics Cruel Universe ponders, only human arrogance would lead us to believe that we are alone in the universe. The real question is, who will find us first? Allies to help us grow and flourish as members of larger cosmic society? Or others who would use up the earth for its resources, enslave the human race, and destroy everything we know and love? Do we live in a limitless realm of possibilities or a deep, dark, cruel universe? Cozy thoughts, aren't they? Issue number 4 features A Peer Review by Cecil Castellucci and Andrew Mutti, a story about two scientists who've discovered life on a frozen moon in our solar system. Soon they're whisked off to an alien get-together, and things get stranger after that. So without further ado, here's my chat with Cecil Castellucci about writing, comic books, and plans for Toronto Comicon 2025. So Cecil Castellucci, thank you very much for taking time to chat with me.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be on your show.
Absolutely. Well, it's great talking to you and catching up. And before I get to all the questions, I would like to ask you, what are you reading today? What's on your bedside reading table?
Well, I am just about to start Kirby's Lessons for Falling in Love by Laura Gao, which is a graphic novel that's on HarperCollins. Laura and I were just judges together for the Society of Children Book Writers and Illustrators, middle grade and older readers' illustrated books. And so I was curious to read her newest.
And here's another question, and about writing, of course. In your most recent newsletter, you celebrated 20 years for your first novel, Boy Proof. And I want to ask you, what does that mean to you as a writer, 20 years?
Wow. I mean, yeah, Boy Proofs came out February 17th, 2005. So it's been 20 years. And, it feels like a real milestone, You always hope that you're still going to be sort of doing art when you start out as an artist, and I feel like I'm really in the thick of it, hopefully just in the middle of my career. It feels like a real milestone and a real accomplishment, and to just also be able to sort of look at the growth of my own writing to see where I've been and where I am now, and just really honor that sort of first, that's the book that made me an author. So it's very, very dear to me.
That's great. Good to hear. Now, we're chatting because you're going to be exhibiting at Toronto Comicon. So with that in mind, I'm wondering, what will you have at your table for people to come by and purchase?
I think I'll have like a little smattering of everything. I'm going to be, I got the Beguiling is going to be helping me with getting some books. So I'm going to have, a couple of Shade the Changing Girls and some Plain Janes and some Girl on Films and some Shifting Earths and some, just like a smattering, a sampling of everything. I'll also have a bunch of floppies of the Cruel Universe, the EC Comics Cruel Universe, which is out on Oni Press, that I contributed a story to for issue 4. And I'll probably have a couple of other Lucy's there as well. And I'll probably try to see if I can bring some boy proofs.
Oh, that would be good. There you go. And people can check out what your first work was. That's tremendous.
which,
Absolutely.
they can take it out digitally on the library, or there's an audiobook. So, there's other ways to read it as well.
That's great. Now, speaking about conventions, I mean, you've been to a few and I've met you at a few. What do you like most about conventions?
Well, number one is just meeting people, meeting fans who, are touched by your work. Writing can be so lonely. You're just like by yourself in your house, pulling worlds out of your brains, and it can be kind of isolating. And so going to a convention and tabling and having people come up to you, with their own dog-eared books, or just to let you know how much they love the work that you've done that's touched them, and tell a story about how it's touched them or why it's something that they love so much. But also finding new readers. I mean, I love when there are people who stumble onto the table and they discover their new favorite book right there, that they have yet to meet. And so it's pretty cool. And then, of course, there's meeting all of the other creators. It feels like whenever I go, there's always creators that I'm super looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, it's sort of like old home week to a degree.
Yeah, like reunions.
Absolutely. No, that's great. That's great. Speaking of events, we last spoke in person at Toronto Comic Arts Festival last year about your project, I Am the Comic Book. I wonder if you could provide an update about that. How is that coming along?
Well, it's going great. I'm just finishing up. It's fading now, but chapter 10, the artist was Steens. So that means there's 14 more to go. And so, for those of you who don't know, I Am the Comic Book is an exquisite corpse endurance performance promenade comics anthology where I published the comic on my arm in the form of a temporary tattoo. I'm working with 24 different artists who will each do a chapter in this exquisite corpse story about a little person named Maxie. I've done 10 chapters so far. Chapter 11 will be at Toronto Comicon when I'm there. There have been great artists, Nate Powell, Hope Larson, Mad Skovbach, Steens, Jose Piamenta, Allison Conway, Chris Wisnia, Rachel Smith. I'm blanking on like a couple of them off the top of my head that have been published so far. But you can follow along on Instagram at I Am the Comic Book. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's like, it's really hard, like performance art comics on your body. I really have a lot of respect for, people like Marina Abramovich or Yoko Ono or Laurie Halse Anderson who do these sort of long form, long term endurance performance things, because it's a practice that you have to show up to sort of every day. Take your picture, do your thing. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely different and definitely something people should check out when they come by to visit you at your table. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Very unique.
100%. And I encourage people too to like check it out on Instagram. It's really kind of cool, and it's very ephemeral and fleeting, and so if you see me, please ask me if I'm wearing one on my arm.
Very good. Now, you must have a lot of other projects on the go. You're always busy doing stuff. Anything that you can talk about right now?
Well, there are a couple of things that I can't talk about right now that are exciting that will be announced at some point, I'm sure by summer. I'm working on an original graphic novel with this new publishing company called The Lab Press, and I'm really excited about that. So I'm just, working on that draft right now. And then I have a couple of like mini series that I'm not a couple, but like, I have like a 5 issue thing that I can't talk about that's going to be coming up, and other little anthology things. And then I also just got the first art back for a graphic novel called My First Monster, which is going to be coming out on Little Brown in like probably a year and a half. But I just got the thumbnails from the artist that I'm collaborating with, Shazleen Khan, and it's just gorgeous, and I can't wait for everyone to see that book.
That sounds exciting for sure. For those who don't know, you were living in LA for a fair number of years, but you've recently
Yeah,
made the move back to Montreal. I wanted to
yeah.
ask you, how did that move go for you?
Winter's hard in Canada. It's not quite the same as Los Angeles. I'm definitely feeling the lack of warmth and sun up here, but Canada is amazing, and I'm so happy to be repatriated back to the home country. Yeah, it's just I'm trying to get my bearings and figure out what I'm doing. Basically everything is the same in terms of I'm writing. I do that everywhere, but it's more sort of like I'm looking forward to spring in Montreal, because if you've ever been to Montreal in spring and summer, it's pretty much the most glorious place in the world. And so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
Winter's really hard.
I can appreciate that for sure. Being in Montreal, though, that means you're probably acclimatizing yourself to the local comic book creator scene and maybe even attending some upcoming conventions and festivals there too.
I'm hoping to be at MCAF, at the Montreal Comic Arts Festival, which I will go to no matter what. Hopefully, I'll be on a panel. Maybe I'll table. I'm not quite sure. I think I've been waitlisted, so we'll see. But I think it's kind of like Toronto Comic Arts Festival, where it's more artist based than writer based. I'm hoping that I can figure out how to get invited to Montreal Comic Con since I'm here now. That would be fun. Trying to figure all that out.
Yeah, all in good time. All in good time. So, for those people who want to find out more about your current and future work and future plans and conventions and festivals, where should they go online to find out more about you?
Well, I'm on Blue Sky, and my handle there is Miss Cecil. I'm on Instagram, and there's my old punk name. It's Cecil Seaskull on Instagram. But you can also do I Am the Comic Book, and I'm sure it will point you to me somehow. And I've got a website that's got some stuff, but who knows where anybody is on social media these days?
Well, Cecil, those are all the questions I have for you. But I'm wondering if there's something I didn't ask that you'd like to get across in this interview.
I feel like, because I was talking about Boy Proof, and I'm, sort of like waxing nostalgic about, my older books and things like that. I just want to remind people that for me, or for any author or creator that you like, you can always look for books, digitally at your library, or, you could purchase them digitally, or, audiobooks. And I think that it's really fun to rediscover books that you might have missed the first time round from creators that you love, and to kind of delve into their books and artistic offerings that they made. So I know that I'm doing that right now, just sort of like looking at books that are on my to be read pile that are older books from many, many years ago, not just classics, but like sort of books that were on my radar and I kind of forgot about. And I think it's really important. That's a really great way to support artists.
Thanks to Cecil for the chat. You can discover more about Cecil Castellucci on Instagram at instagram.com/Cecil Seaskull. That's CECIL SEASKULL. And online at cecilcastellucci.com. Thank you for tuning in to the True North Country Comics podcast. I invite you to visit the True North Country Comics website to listen to even more conversations and discover more about creators' insight on making comic books and graphic novels. I encourage you to subscribe via the website so you'll be notified about new podcasts, interviews, and article posts. This podcast is available wherever podcasts are enjoyed. Please like, follow, and subscribe. You can follow along True North Country Comics on most social media sites, and you're encouraged to send any and all feedback to John at truenorthcountrycomics.com. Thanks for tuning in, and come back soon for another episode. Bye for now. True North Country Comics Podcast is copyright True North Country Comics, copyright 2025.